I am streaming.
Okay.
I am sitting here drinking my tea.
And 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Nintendo Dads, episode 145, recorded on September 6, 2017. On tonight's episode, we discuss the first 6 months of the Nintendo Switch. Was it good? Was it bad? You're going to have to keep listening to find out. We're also going to talk about Mario plus Rabbid's Kingdom Battle and how we've pretty much all been playing it and lots more. Zach, hit the music.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Nintendo Dads Podcast. My name is Zach Erickson, and tonight is September 6th, 2017. Wow. It's 2017. Joining me from the land of the Irish sea shanty, Justin Masson. What's going on, Justin?
Thank you. Yeah. Do you have your Irish sea chanty music available to play? Let's hear that.
I do, but it will kill.
You are such a horrible host. No, thanks for. Yeah, I'm back. I'm excited. I've got my Tim Hortons Glasgow tea mug here, drinking my. I know Zach's. This is from Tim, the only Tim Hortons in Europe and UK. I went there. It was in Scotland. Got this mug. I'm gonna drink my big cup of tea out of it, and it is good. So top of the morning to you, lads. Speaking of lads and top of the morning, Jesse Waldeck from VG Tribune. How are you, sir?
Good. I got my Walmart branded bottle of water.
It'll probably kill you. It's from Walmart. Speaking of a man you probably never find in Walmart, Marty Estes. Marty, how are you, sir?
No. I'm there at least twice a day.
Speaking of a man who should be wearing a blue smock working for Walmart, Marty Estes. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, and you will find the coffee and the tea and other things straight down aisle 5.
Excellent.
You know what's funny about that is I actually worked at a Walmart.
Oh, really?
For a while in the dairy section.
Nice.
And if you're out there and you work at Walmart and you're in the dairy section, may God have mercy on your soul.
I worked at a McDonald's inside a Walmart for a while as a manager, and that is even more frightening to watch.
Did you have the creepy Ronald McDonald out front that had his arm out where you could pose for a picture with him?
Yeah,
and sit on the bench
strategically positioned. Yeah, creepy thing as always. So that was freaky. And the other thing was that in the morning when we were doing setup, you'd hear them do the chant in the morning, just kind of outside of our golden arches, and it was like they're all part of a blue smock cult. Just stay with the golden M, you'll be fine. It was. I digress. It was a long time ago. Speaking of a long time ago and should be digressing, what's going on, Zach?
Oh, team building is what that sounds like to me, which is a really ineffective way of team building. But
yeah.
It is what it is. Well, hey, speaking of being just what it is and nothing more, we got we got a show to do. So
let's do this thing. Let's do it. Do it.
And the news is brought to us by patreon.com/Nintendo Dads. We got new patrons again this week. We've got a new month, which means we got paid. I don't know why that's what immediately came to our mind, but thank you so much for all of our patrons. You guys are amazing. We got new patrons. Who do we got this week?
We have Troy Stanley, Zach Bohannon, and Ryan Enderlide. Hopefully I said that right. But yeah, thanks guys for helping us to create more and more family-friendly Nintendo content. And as Zach says, helping us change the world. Because that's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Whether you like it or not.
I noticed that we put the postman at the beginning of the show in the notes. Are we doing that? Or are we just going?
We're gonna do it. I think you have to do it more than once to figure out whether it works.
Okay. Well, you know what? Here, then I played the wrong thing. Here.
I'm so sorry, folks. After 145 episodes, Zach is still learning on how musical cues work.
Look.
And how to read notes at the same time as pressing the musical cue buttons.
I am a man of habit. And
at least he doesn't have to read musical notes
to the musical
The news
cues.
on my soundboard comes right after the intro button on my soundboard. Okay, the postman button on my soundboard is right near the outro, so I'm gonna have to do some rearranging here.
Sounds like you have a lot of issues concerning this order. I know a therapist you might want to spend some time with to have a chat about your issues.
I've spent way too much time with that guy, and he's not.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. All right, Marty, what's going on in the postman today?
Well, we've got a few emails that we need to read and talk about. The first one is from Jeff GG, and he says this: "Hey guys, thought it'd be cool to hear of your usage stats from the Switch Parental app. Number 1, days played in August. Number 2, average hours played a day. And number 3, how much does daily time vary from a low day to a high day? Thanks, Jeff."
I'm going to add another one to it, by the way. Can I add a fourth one? Just
Sure.
Sure.
Top 3 games.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
It measures them. It's interesting because it measures them in most played days, not most. Well, I guess there's also the most played time, and it's kind of the same. But so who here actually, Marty? You said that you uninstalled the parental controls app.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore because we travel a lot, and switching Wi-Fi is a super duper pain with that. I don't understand why you can't have more than one Wi-Fi signal set for the Switch yet, which we'll talk about later on in the show. But yeah, like changing the Wi-Fi, like even to like get an updated list of Wi-Fi like signals in your area, you have to go in and put in your parental code. And then to do other things, you have to put in your parental code. And I just found that I was putting in my parental code all the time. And it's just, it's not, to see my usage stats, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I got rid of that thing.
So
well, for the sake of the conversation, I think, Zach, you and I still have it, right?
Yeah, we still both have it. And I will say that I mostly have kept it because especially for my son, it is absolutely we've been using it as like a way of kind of trying to teach him how to self-monitor how much time it is. So it's like, okay, well, this is going to go off once you've played it for, an hour and a half today. And so then we'll try and, get him to, what we've done some days is like, okay, you know what? It's going to beep at an hour and a half. You can show us that you're going to turn it off yourself, and we don't have to, have it turn it off for you or that kind of thing. Right. Which is nice. But there's also some days where it's just like, all right, dude, like enough is enough. And he's just the kind of kid who's like, oh, I'm not doing anything. And then he'll run and grab the Switch and like run to his room, and it's just super quiet and we forget about him. All of a sudden, like 3 hours has gone by and we're like, oh no, what have we done? Right. So that is why we have that. So the first one, Justin, days. Now the nice thing is that it divides by account now.
Yeah.
So I actually know what I have played versus what my son has played, which is nice. So days played. How many days, Justin, did you play?
And so this is for the month of August?
Yes.
For the month of August, I have down that I myself have played 16 of those days.
Okay. And I played 19 days.
Okay.
What about time? Average per day?
Where is that?
So if you go underneath the accounts, it says days. There's a little thing that says days, and then above it, and then next to it, you tap on time.
Oh, okay. There it goes. Okay. So average play time is 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Okay. And I play an average of 45 minutes per day. So I had a little bit more days than you, but less per day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sense.
I have a feeling mine would be much longer if I kept the stats, because playing the puzzle. I played the puzzle game for 15 hours. So says my profile, and then Rabbid's daily since its release.
So Justin,
it was funny. I scrolled through some of them, and I was like, 30 minutes, an hour, and then there was one that was like 6 hours, and I was like, oh dear God, I didn't realize I spent 6 hours one day playing a game. Sorry, and what were you saying there, Zach?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm looking like the most I played was, it looks like an hour and 55 minutes. That was on the 23rd. I don't know what that would have been. Maybe
find the most.
So if you tap on, if you're in the days part of the app and you tap on the calendar,
Yeah.
comes up with this list, right?
Oh yeah.
And so just scrolling through here, there were some days that I played for 5 minutes, and there were some days and there was one day in particular that I played, or a couple days that I played for about 2 hours.
Yeah, actually, so sorry, for me in August, so the 6 hours was actually in July, because I did find that one. Was 2 hours and 35 minutes was my highest. My lowest was 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry, my lowest was 5 minutes. I apologize.
Yeah. So that's this is interesting now that I'm kind of looking through. If you look at the days, you can actually. Oh, hey, I should mute my phone. That was my text notification, by the way, on my phone, because I use that for my soundboard. So you can also look at your apps most played by counting the number of days, or you can, if you tap on the time one, it'll tell you what the most time was.
What was the most time you played a game?
Sonic Mania.
Was because you don't have any friends, nobody likes you. So and mine was an actual game called Splatoon 2.
See, that was number 2 for me. Yeah.
And then I had Rabbids at number 2 for the month of August, which is interesting because I had purchased it on the 31st, so literally the last day of the month.
And did you just crap out of it that day?
And apparently that's what I did.
Was
because
that
No, because my next one after that was Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and my one after that was ARMS.
Yeah, so I've got where am I here? So yeah, so
I would say if mine was there, mine would skew a lot differently. We've probably spent in August the biggest amount of time playing Jackbox games.
Mm-hmm.
So those probably would be where mine were. And when we do play those, it's a healthy hour or 2 hours at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your most played versus what was the other question?
So the most played. And how much does time vary from a low day to a high day? So
right. Didn't someone else say what was the highest played or?
The highest played, I think. So days, like if you count most played by days, it was Splatoon, then Sonic Mania, and then Minecraft. And then if you did by time, then it was Sonic Mania first, then Minecraft, which I think actually is my kids using my account because that's because of how the save files were set up for Minecraft, then Splatoon. So. Yeah,
I mean, mine would, so we went over that a bit. So it's interesting. One of the things I do like about the app, though, which I find very cool, is actually I was looking through this, is when they enter an incorrect PIN, you get a notification.
Yeah. And every time you download something too, it'll
yeah. And I do like the fact that I'm looking at my app right now. I can scroll across and see. Okay, my daughter, she played for 13 hours. She played 13 days. I apologize. Her time was 1.5. Splatoon 2 was her highest one. Right. I can click on it and get details about that. I mean, it's broken down at every level. I really actually do. I do like that a lot, actually. It's a slick device, and the parental control, the time limits, the restrictions, the pin, all of that is really quite effective. But I think to Marty's point, there is obviously some design flaws. I think also.
Yeah, I think if I did have younger kids, I probably would put up with it a little bit more. But the fact that the youngest Switch owner is 17 in this house, not needed.
Yeah, no, probably not. But I mean, for definitely, I think younger kids, and I think to Zach's point, it's a really good tool to make sure you're monitoring them. And they actually just did an update recently with some bug fixes, I think, just this week for the iOS side. So I don't know what that shakes out to be on everyone else. And I think they just said, stability issues or minor things like they always do. Nothing huge on the details, but I do like it.
That's because they don't want to admit that there was a potential back door that could have been exploited.
Yeah, probably.
So it's just more stable.
Mm-hmm. I do think that that the parental app should be slipped into the Nintendo Online Switch app.
Mm-hmm.
I think it should absolutely be all on the Switch.
Yeah,
but we'll talk about that.
Absolutely, I don't want to bury the lead there.
It needs to be, for sure. All right, so very cool. So let's head into the next email here. I'll read it here. It says, "Hi all."
Sorry, I apologize. You go ahead.
It says, "Hi all, I recently became a Patreon supporter and love your show. I'm so awesome. Thank you, Trevor, for being a supporter of the show. It's great to have you on. I'm not usually into these types of games, but I have really enjoyed Mario and Rabbids so far, halfway through World 2. I'm just curious, what moves or weapons have you found to be really helpful in your battles? Okay, so I think we can kind of go around. I really like I really like the, I don't know what they call it in this, but it's like the Overwatch sort of, right? Where you set them up to, you can
for Luigi it's called the Steely Gaze.
Right, and then Mario it's like the Hero's Gaze or something like that.
Hero
right?
Sight.
Yeah.
And then Peach also has one.
Does she?
Yeah.
Yes.
When do you unlock that?
I like how surprised you sound.
Nope.
What?
Oh, sorry. I haven't unlocked regular Peach yet. I thought you meant regular Peach. Sorry.
No, not Rabbid Peach.
Oh, no, regular Peach, which you don't get her until the end of World 2, I think.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. See, I just barely unlocked Rabbid Mario, who is probably
spoiler alert.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's really good. I like him, and he's. But yeah, so moves that are and weapons and things like that. Oh, I don't know. It's interesting because they don't like. One thing that I don't know if I necessarily was expecting, or at least didn't realize was going to be a thing, is that they definitely fill certain roles, right? Like each character does have like some very specific strategic roles. So like
some weapons are very situational.
Yeah, like I feel like Rabbid Luigi, I feel like there's got to be some like really effective strategies that you could use with him. But he's just like
he's useful.
Yeah, to me, he's kind of the weak link out of the 5 that I have already.
Yeah, I took him out of the party in World 2, but brought him back on in the early part of World 3 just because of his ability to be immune to the special effects. Because the start of World 3 will ink and vampire you every turn.
Right, okay.
And that ink stuff is that's totally just ridiculous.
Is that the one that eliminates your main attack ability?
Yes. Yeah, it's the opposite of
ice.
The frozen one removes your special abilities, but the ink removes your main attack.
Mm-hmm.
And then honey removes your movement.
To answer Trevor's question, I would say that for me, the one of the biggest game changer weapons in the game or abilities is Luigi's secondary weapon, which is like the little scout tank that he sends out that can, go to a certain point and explode. And when you get up to where I'm at, which is like the beginning of World 3 or a little bit through the first part of World 3, man, that thing's hitting for like 145 damage every time it explodes.
I would say too, a lot of my strategy lately, and I don't know if like, because your special sort of ability for a weapon, when it crits, right? When you get like a critical hit and it gives you an additional effect, I feel like I'm getting way more than the percentage that that the weapon is rated for a lot of the time. But I have been opting for bounce, almost every time.
I like bounce.
Right? So
bounce is nice.
I think my favorite combo is I have Mario with bounce. I have all my characters have different abilities, but I have Mario with bounce. I do the gaze stare thing, and then shoot them, make them bounce. They fly, and then he gets hit again.
Yeah,
and that's one thing I would say too that I didn't know about. I didn't know about this, and it really helped me with the boss of World 2. That is on Mario and Luigi both, and I would guess Peach, since she has it. You can upgrade the hero side and the Steely Gaze to shoot twice instead of one time.
Yeah, I have my Mario upgraded to twice.
And that is so important to have, especially going into World 3.
Then, hey, you get some serious combos. That's
so
awesome.
what I would do, what I've done a lot of times lately is have Rabbid Mario has an ability that draws people to him because he's kind of your tank. So if you set Steely Gaze or Hero Sight and then have him draw people in, then Mario and Luigi are behind Rabbid Mario picking them off.
Yeah.
Rabbid Yoshi has the backwards ability. He'll scream and then cause the enemies to spread away from you.
And see, the thing is if you're using Rabbid Mario, since his weapon is the boom shot, it's a shotgun. If you draw them all in, and Mario and Luigi have kind of been picking away at them with those abilities, then you use your shotgun You can go for massive kills in one turn.
That's awesome. And you know what? I really love the fact that you can reset your skill tree as many times as you want without any penalty. I think that was a really, really smart move. So
that's kind of a game changer, especially if you've realized you've messed up and you haven't gotten what you need.
Yeah.
I haven't,
because that's what I had to do.
Maybe I should look into that.
Somebody online, like I was searching for a strategy on the World 2 boss, because it's like from World 1 boss to World 2 boss, it's a huge difficulty spike. And it's not like a gimmick fight. It's an all-out, war. The boss has 2,000 hit points, and I would say multiple forms, but it's like you take away 500 and then he does something else, and you take away 500 and you do something else.
I think all the bosses have done that. Even to World 3 has a 3 pattern to it.
Yeah, Donkey Kong was that way, but I didn't feel like he was such a. I don't know, that one in World 2 was such a big deal. I got stuck on it for so long, but being able to go back and redo my skill tree for all of my characters was huge, and it really made a difference. That's when I finally beat it, was because I configured my character in the right way.
Yeah. Another little combo thing that I set up by accident, but it was I laughed when I pulled it off. It was I had Peach was by herself up against 2 of the big basher things that when they get attacked, they will approach the person who attacked them.
Right.
And then so Peach has like a spray attack with her main gun. So it's attacks in a cone.
Okay.
So it can hit multiple targets, and so they were far enough away. The cone, I activated her ability, her gaze ability. Then I shot, hit them both. They both started approaching me. Then she reshot one of them with the gaze ability, which hit both of them, and then they moved closer again. So they were surrounding her. And they both attacked her simultaneously, but their attacks are also area effect. So they hit each other, killing each other.
Wow. There's a lot going on there, a lot to unpackage. Hopefully, Trevor, that's provided you some level of insight and direction of what weapons and combos we like to use. But there's tons going on there, tons to unpack. So yeah, thanks very much for the question.
Very cool. Right on. There was a third. Wait.
No, we moved it down because it was a comment on our first 6 months of the Switch.
All right. So let's. So if you want to email the show, of course you can do so. NintendoDads@gmail.com. And thank you to those who have emailed us. We got one more, but I'm going to play the news thing because that's what it is. I already played it, but I have a sense of order, so we're going to do it. And the news was actually brought to you by the thing that the postman is brought to you.
You're so wrecked by the fact that we moved some things, aren't you? Like, it's just messed you up.
OneUpBox.com. Marty, you uploaded a new video this week for OneUpBox for August, correct?
That is correct. The August theme was fight. And so it had some really cool stuff in there. You can go check it out over on YouTube.
Very cool.
All right, so let's dive into the news. We're going to do a couple things here. We're going to do some quick little news segments, like just headlines, basically. And then we're going to like deep dive a conversation. Hot topic is what I'm going to call it. Maybe we can find like some kind of find some kind of bumper or something while we talk about the hot topic. But let's jump into the news real fast here. Jesse, Marty, Pokemon CEO told Nintendo the Switch would fail prior to its release. What's going on there?
That's well, he's an idiot.
Statement. Yeah.
Basically, the news came out this week that the Pokemon CEO told Nintendo that this is not going to work. This is going to fail, and you're going to be back right where the Wii U was. And they just didn't really buy into the whole concept. But basically, what the interview said and what I've read is that. Now the CEO of the company has come back and basically said that They realize that it's software that sells a system, and that, well, let me just read the exact quote, because there's a ton of stuff to unpack here. He said, "I told Nintendo that Switch wouldn't be a success before it went on sale because I thought in the age of the smartphone, no one would carry out a game console. It's obvious I was wrong. I came to realize the key to a successful game is quite simple. Software with absolute quality leads sales of hardware. Playing style can be flexible if the software is attractive enough. Currently, it's popular among the early adopters, but there needs to be one more step to attract a wider audience. I see more potential in Switch, but one shouldn't overestimate its potential." So he's still kind of shady on it.
Yeah, interesting statement. I see the potential, but we need to get more attachment rate. Very interesting, right? And I think we're going to talk about it in a little bit here when we're talking about, hey, the 6 months of the Switch. Where are we? What are some things? It sounds like there's a little bit of the rose-colored glasses that the industry has had on the Switch. But it's interesting to hear the comments on this. Jesse, what do you think of these comments? Is he right to say this? I mean, obviously he can do whatever he wants, but how are you feeling about it?
I don't know how much he knows. I'm just kind of speculating here, but I could, if we know Japan, or we know Nintendo NCL is a very Japan-centric company. They focus on the homeland first, and then the Western markets kind of secondary most of the time. But I think the Pokemon Company does have a better grasp on what is interested in the Western markets, with having Pokemon for 20 years now, and they've been able to see what the Western markets can do. So while I agree that as I've always said, to me the Switch is primarily portable that can be docked, and a lot of Japanese people would be playing it that way. But most of the people in North America, I think, are the other way around. So he wasn't sure if people would see this as a proper Wii U success for more like Reggie's and Nintendo of America has been plugging it. So that kind of my complete guess. No idea how accurate it is. His thought processes on that. So I can see why he might be making statements like this, because it is a weird system. I'll admit that, but it's a great system.
Yeah, go ahead, Zach.
With great games.
I think the thing is too is that Nintendo, or the Pokemon Company specifically, is really founded on the basis of people sharing like portability. There's like a portability aspect to it. There's the company was founded based on the Pokemon games, which were all about sharing, right, and portability. And most people the thing is that I can't remember what the study was, but there was a survey that said how are most people using the Switch. Most people still use it in their home, right? And so in that sense, I think he's actually right. I think what he's underestimating is the fact that I think the Switch is really kind of showing that there is a market for a home handheld system, right? Like I don't think that most people leave the house with it. That's what the survey said, right? Was that they play the Switch mostly in their house. If I were to critique that survey, the problem is that they never clarified, do you play your Switch as a console or as a handheld when you're at home? Because if it was me, if they were to ask me that question, at least I would say I play it primarily in handheld mode at home, right? Mm-hmm. And so that's where I think that he's actually right in the fact that the handheld portable sort of nature of the Switch, I don't think that's as appealing as Nintendo likes to think it is. For most people, it's nice to bring on the road, and it's nice to be able to have that as a portable unit. But I don't think a lot of people, like, I know for me, I don't really have a problem with sending my son with his 3DS, but I'm not sending him with the Switch right now, right? Like that's there's a certain level there. So I see what he's saying, and I understand it. I think that
when I think of your average Switch purchaser would be someone our age, maybe 20s, younger, commuting to a job. And how do most people do it in Japan? Train.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I don't know if people are out there playing the Switch on the train. Like I don't actually see a lot of Switches in the wild yet, so I don't know. Like I don't really see them on the bus. They're not replacing smartphones, so in that sense, I think he's right. It's just a matter of
well, again, Western market thing. I see very few 3DSs in the wild. Most of the 3DSs I see are mine.
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't mean it doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do with it.
I don't like the part of the country I'm in. I'm in. Never see any 3DSs, especially. Well, I take that back. I will see them. They're not as frequent, and they're definitely not on adults.
Mm-hmm.
They're always on kids. And I think the issue one of the things that we need to point out here is that Pokemon in general, and I say in general, I mean, and I'm painting with a pretty broad brush here, has been mostly successful as a portable game.
Yeah.
Right.
And so to all of a sudden take this portable game and make it tied to the home, but also be portable.
I actually saw something this week about that too.
It's kind of I know that like for them is probably a new concept. It's probably one that they're still trying to wrap their heads around. But I'm going to say this because we're going to talk about this story here in just a minute of a president from EA Bucharest, which is just bizarre. But how long will this? I think what this leads us to is kind of a broader discussion maybe on this. How long is this cautious optimism going to go on about the Switch? Or not even optimism, just the cautiousness in general.
Until the Switch's successor comes out.
I think. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you think is causing the unease about it still?
Well, I guess I just look at it and you've got a system that. And Kotaku posted an article this week that, a couple articles that showed how the Switch is outselling the PS4 in Japan at the time frame to this time frame. How consistently the Switch is outselling the PS4 when put up together. In the early days of those consoles, and the fact that there's still 6 months after. The console has been released. There's still rabid demand for the console.
Rabid demand.
Get it? Yeah. I didn't even know I was doing it, but I'm saying that I bought one for my church. I bought one for my student ministry at my church last week, and the guy at Walmart when I bought it, he said these things fly out the door as soon as I get them in.
Mm-hmm.
Every time. You're lucky to have caught one, and so I know that some people are seeing them more often, and literally 30 minutes from me, there's a Target that for 2 weeks has had 11 Switches. But the reason is because they've put all the consoles on an end cap in the back of the store facing the back wall, which is stupid. It's the dumbest decision that they have because they have a case for where the Wii U was and the 3DS and all that stuff. But I guess I just get indies are on board, obviously. We've seen that in the past week. Nintendo's on board. A lot of people are on board. You see a new article every day about how the Switch has changed my life or how the Switch has changed how I play games or it's made me a believer. How long do the naysayers get to continue to have this? We told them it wasn't going to work, but
I do think that companies, we're going to talk about EA here. We'll actually just click to that. I think it's a good segue and transition to that. So what Marty is referring to is that the president of EA came out and basically thinks that adding full features to the Nintendo Switch version of FIFA 18 will overwhelm them. And I'm going to say
specifically the season mode or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not super familiar with
now
FIFA.
is that overwhelming the system or overwhelming the user?
Overwhelming the user.
The user.
Different. That's things, just to me is
that's
the most
an audience. That's not a platform.
Yeah, the most bizarre statement that has been made yet about the Switch. We don't want to overwhelm the user with all these extra features.
So we'll offer them later as DLC through season.
No,
pass?
it's not. It's not coming.
Oh, okay.
So here's the statement he made, and this it sounds like they kind of just caught him like in a hallway somewhere.
Yeah,
just coming to the men's bathroom, shaking his hands off.
Because there's a lot of like how you talk when you're trying to think of what to say.
Yeah.
He says, if you look at the history of Ultimate Team on the likes of Sony or Microsoft, I think it's a 7-year history, if I recall correctly. That player base has been accustomed to it already and has been educated about already, So if you throw everything from the get-go to a completely new player base, you might not get the desired result. Even this might be too much. It's huge.
It's just so awesome that Nintendo players can't handle it.
But he goes on to say, when kind of questioned further about certain features being absent from the Switch, he says, I see it as being more social. Casual represents different things to different people. And he advised, I look at them as two different games, two different worlds that I think we should take for what they are, and keep in mind that we should not try to force people onto certain things just because it works on a certain platform.
And that's the problem that we've had with EA since the Wii.
Yeah, this is just a demonstration for me of the fact that I think you're right, Marty. I think part of it is literally just that he was I think they cut that part out of the quote. Right? The quote actually started with
Jack, do you get the PowerPoint slides that we talked about a couple of meetings ago? Something's on slide 7. No, I must.
Well, to me, it kind of sounds like fumbling for a reason to say that they have been lazy on this.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean,
because he admits at the end, he says, well, it would work. It would work on the system. We're just not putting it in because we don't want to just put in everything that works on the system. We don't want to give a consumer a real full-fledged game. That's not EA.
I mean, so here's the thing, and I'm not going to defend EA, but if I was to defend EA or any of the other developers or companies that are coming, that are cautious, right? So even let's think of Capcom, right? We're gonna see how many Street Fighters it sells. We're gonna see how many this sells before we do anything else. You got to remember that the developers did quite well in the Wii, and then the Wii U hurt hard for them, right? And that they took big losses in some games, right? So let's think of something like a Watch Dogs. Yes, it was late. It was ported over later. Now this is Ubisoft, but nothing sold. So there's time and energy and money resourcing that you are sinking into potentially a loss leader of a game, right? So you do have, and I mean these are games that are going onto cartridges, right? So there's fees associated with that. There's server support. There's not necessarily porting, but adjusting. There's testing. All of this. So you do have to remember there are some companies that are cautious to come over because their risk is higher than what they would work or what they'd be aware of or be cautious of. If you know that you're going to sell really well on Xbox and PlayStation, based on your workload and your past, then you can continue that. But I don't necessarily blame the cautiousness. But I think what I get frustrated with, and I think the question you're asking, Marty, is at what point do we say, okay, it is a success, it is doing well, so shut up and start moving stuff over?
I think here's the thing with EA right now, though, as an example, is what benefit do they have to admit that the Switch is a success right now? Like this game is their let's test the waters thing. And so for them to come out and say, ooh, you know what? Actually, it's a success and we really should have gone all in on this, but we didn't. So not only is our game sort of a half-hearted effort, or at least a not full effort, but also it would be like we would have actually been justified in doing the full thing. It just makes them look bad. And so if they were to say, no, we're still being careful right now, for them, that is for a company to be conservative on a new platform. That's a relatively okay thing to do,
and especially a company that is publicly traded.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So you do have to be cautious to your stockholders, and I mean, unfortunately, this is the business of the business, right? Mm-hmm. But it is part of the song and dance that occurs.
Yeah,
and part of it still is like the Wii U had a pretty decent first year. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it probably sold a third of its lifetime in this first year, and then it dropped off pretty quick. So with the Switch having a good first year, it is not necessarily an indication it'll continue.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people are really going to start looking at that second year, and then finally admitting defeat or admitting, "Haha, I told you so." We'll find out in a year and a half.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we come into E3 next year and we begin to see more third parties come on board, knocking at the door and saying, "Yeah, I'd like to introduce you to Assassin's Creed, Egypt or whatever it is now. And by the way, it's coming to the Nintendo Switch and all this, right?" I wouldn't be, too shocked if we begin to see that. But I do think, to Jesse's point, they're going to stand back and watch a little bit more before making that decision, which is why I think the indies are such a great success, right? That's I shouldn't say low, right? But there is not as many costs, I think, associated with indie developers as well. Great commentary, great news. Is there anything else in news items we need to be aware of before we move on to our kind of hot topic?
No, I think that it was actually a really quiet news week, right?
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, not a lot going on.
Zach, do we have a hot topic button, something soundboard-ish that you could use?
Oh, since you asked,
son of a
wobble buffet.
There we go. All right.
I was expecting the Irish dance music, but that works too.
Yeah.
It's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you are going to get.
That fits.
That works too. All right, so here's the idea of hot topic. The hot topic is that we bring something potentially, maybe we do it monthly, maybe we do it weekly, who knows, that we as this group want to discuss and what we want your larger input into. So I recently put out on Twitter that it has been 6 months since the Nintendo Switch was launched. And we want to know what your thoughts are. And what I want to do here is I want to talk about what's good, what's bad, right? What don't we like, what could be better, what needs to be better. What are our thoughts about the positioning for where Nintendo is now at the 6 month mark? We've kind of had a healthy conversation about it here, but let's continue that conversation, focusing it now onto the Switch. So, guys, 6 months in, we've all got these lovely devices. We all were cautiously optimistic as we led up to it. We got them in March. We were early adopters, first hands on. Where are you feeling, or where are you right now into this life cycle? How are you feeling about your Nintendo Switch? Zach, let's start with you.
Okay, so let me look at my Switch here. I now and granted, some of these are review copies and stuff like that, but I currently have on my Nintendo Switch, I have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Start counting now, Marty. You've got a ways to go.
27 different things on my home screen, and again, some of them are my dad came and visited and we tried Street Fighter and stuff but I've got a lot of games on here. I have played a lot of my Switch.
Have you gone solely digital?
Yeah, I have since day one. So okay. I on day one I bought Breath of the Wild and 1-2 Switch hard copy. Ever since then, I am digital copy. So yeah, so I have a lot of stuff saved on it right now. But okay. I freaking love the Switch. I really have a hard time finding I think that the online thing is kind of not great, but I honestly feel like this has delivered on the promise that they made in that initial reveal trailer last October. Right. This has absolutely been exactly what they said it was going to be. And other than, maybe would I like maybe a more heavy duty, so maybe an Apple quality hardware, sort of manufacturing. It's still cheap plastic, right? The kickstand still sucks. The joysticks are the Joy-Cons kind of wobble, you know what I mean? When I put them on there, they kind of just they aren't right snug. They kind of wobble a little bit. But it's fine, right? It's exactly what I wanted it to be, and I honestly love the Nintendo Switch. And looking back at this last 6 months, they have nailed the first 6 months for the software, right? And there's multiple games within the between now and the end of the year that I'm looking forward to still.
Give me your as you stand right now top 3 games.
Top 3 games right now that I have played. I would say, oh geez, okay, so Sonic Mania aside, I would say.
And if by side, do you mean in the dumpster burning side?
Yeah.
That's for you, Josh Thomas. I know you're in our room right now.
So I would say Breath of the Wild. That's obvious. Honestly, Mario and Rabbids is probably in that top 3, which I'm very surprised to be saying that. But I feel like after playing it for this week, it's that good. And then Splatoon, probably, I would say. Okay. Though there are a few other, I mean, like Minecraft is obviously a really good one.
So if you were to give it a score out of 10, what would you give her?
Oh, based on overall experience.
Based on your 6 months in, how you feel, how does your heart feel right now about this thing?
I'm going to say a solid 8.9.
Wow. 8.9 out of 10.
Not a 9, right? Like, there are definitely some things that need to be addressed. The online thing needs to be addressed. Virtual console needs to be addressed. There needs to be options for that. But honestly, like, I don't really have a whole lot of issues with most of the things, most of the elements of the Switch so far.
Okay.
So
good to know. Jesse, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good with it. I would say, definitely like Zelda and Mario and Rabbids are definitely, the 2 of my top 3. I don't have as many games as I think all of you all have. I think I only have like 8 or 9 total. So if I had to pick a third game, I'd probably go with that puzzle game I talked about last week. That just seems to fit nice, in a handheld. Playing with the touchscreen. Playing that on the TV kind of sucks, but in the handheld, it worked nice. I agree with what Zach said about we want virtual console, we want better networking. I don't remember if he said anything about eShop, but I think eShop that really needs kind of an overhaul, along with just the basic main menu interface. Like, give us folders. Give us like more options to do other things that you've had, for DS, 3DS, Wii U can do, but Switch isn't doing it. So, thought it was something else I wanted to say, but now it's lost me.
That's okay. If you were to give it a score, where do you feel right now? Zach gave it an 8.9.
I was thinking more like 8.5.
8.5, okay, 8.5. All right.
Yeah.
Good to hear. We're gonna have a healthier conversation about what needs to improve. What does Nintendo need to do? So if you guys are like, feeling like it's a little bit loose right now, and the conversation is deep, we are going to dive into that more. Marty, let's head over to you, sir. How are you feeling about this thing?
I'm confident in being able to say that this is my favorite video game console of all time.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it all comes down to the ability to take it with me and be portable, because I don't have the opportunity to play at home online. I don't have the opportunity to actually sit down and play large amounts of time very frequently. So for me to be able to pick it up and take it with me and have the same experience of games that I'm currently wanting to play constantly, that's huge. And even existing side by side with the 3DS, that's huge. And it's like, since the only other system I own is a PS4 and I don't really play it at all, then it's like having the best of both worlds at the same time. I can take my 3DS, I could take my my Switch with me, and there's always something to play. And you ask Zach how many games he has. I think I'm at 45.
Oh my gosh, dude! Do you have
That's mostly digital.
Okay.
There's about 10 or 12 that are physical copies.
Wow, dude. I'm impressed.
Now, a couple
My
of those
wallet
are,
is not impressed. Now, to be fair, several of those are review copies that I have reviewed for Nintendo Dads. So, Severed, everything from Severed and Forma 8 to Splatoon 2 is stuff that we have gotten. But like I can without a doubt say that, and here's why I say it's my favorite video game console of all time. When I was in the Wii U, PS4, 3DS days before this, I was seriously at a point where I was really kind of just bored with video games and had gone over and was doing more board gaming and leaning more into that and just really not, because the Wii U didn't have anything to play except, every few months. The 3DS I could always have with me, and I don't, again, the PS4 is my son's. I don't really play it. So it reawakened my love of video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I credit that for like as a major thing of reawakening that love of video gaming. And now, I mean, it's a daily thing. I'm gonna pick up my Switch every day and I'm gonna play it. It's always with me. We've played everywhere from the beach to my house to a table at a restaurant while we were hanging out, waiting on our food to get there. It's the versatility of it. For me, the versatility of play trumps the technical aspect of it.
When you say technical aspect, you mean the fact that it's not, as high of a power
4K, or it's not that. It doesn't
Sure.
matter to me. Give me good games that I can take with me,
Right.
and I'm happy.
Yeah,
I would say probably top 3 games so far. I'm gonna definitely say Breath of the Wild. It is the game that I've spent the most time on. I'm still finding things in Breath of the Wild. And I'm gonna go with, just for like what we've used it for and what has seen the most use and everything, Jackbox Party Pack 3 has been huge, because I've not met one person yet who's played that game and not liked it. And the ability for me to be able to take that and connect to somebody's Wi-Fi at their house or whatever has been great. And then I'm going to say ARMS. I'm a huge fan of ARMS, even though I haven't touched it in like a month.
Yeah.
But like that game, when it came out, it got a hold of me, and I think it's one, it's one of those games that has that Nintendo style and Nintendo charm, but it definitely fits the system that it's on.
Right.
Not just like, oh, it fits Nintendo, it fits the Switch. And it kind of is like an embodiment of everything they're trying to do with the Switch. So definitely love my Switch. And if I'm going to give it a score, 9.5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
So
and I won't go all the way 10. And the reason why is I have some what I would say are minor things that I don't like about it.
Okay. So we're gonna chat about that in a couple of moments for sure. I'll give you a quick my synopsis. I really love it. I think it's fantastic. I take it when we're traveling. I take it with me everywhere we go. I love the fact that it's easy and portable, and I can bust off a Joy-Con and hand it to someone to play. I love that about it. It's amazing how much work, how much processing, how much power is in such a small little device to make the experience fantastic. And I think it delivers on that magic that was shown to us in the November commercial, right? With the just pick it up and it's an instant transition, you're good to go. Right. I've loved the fact that at times I've been in handheld mode playing it, and then, the TV is free. I go put the dock in, boom, literally pick up my Pro controller, and I'm continuing. So easy, and the transition's amazing. My kids love playing it. It's still one of those devices, and whenever you get a new device as a parent and your kids have it in their hand, your heart rate goes up by a good 20 to 30 beats per minute. Because you're scared that they're going to drop it at any moment, or they're going to scratch it, and then you get it from them and you look at it and you clean it and you do all that. I'm still in that phase with my Switch. So So it's still very much, going back to your commentary, Zach, of like dad's thing, don't touch, what have you done? I still get nervous when my daughter walks around near our hardwood and our ceramic in our house that it's going to drop and smash. So I get scared about that still. Top 3 games, I'm going to have to say Breath of the Wild, of course, I think Splatoon, and then probably ARMS, actually. ARMS or Mario Kart 8 from the family fun aspect. I'd give it a solid 8. I'd give it a solid 8. I think there are some things that they need to do a little bit better, but I have really been enjoying it. I think it is a fantastic system, and I think it's revived what Nintendo does, and I think I think it's put Nintendo back on track for where they need to be, and it's a fun console. So I think those are my thoughts on it. Now, so before we deep dive into what do we need to see better, where is Nintendo right now in the health of it, I do want to talk about what some of the feedback was that we got from people on Twitter. So let's actually start with that email first. Let's do that one. Marty, do you have that available?
Yes, I do. It is from Chris at NinChris64 on Twitter, and he writes this. Firstly, I can't believe it's been 6 months. It's been a great 6 months, though. Two titles, Breath of the Wild, my first proper Zelda, Mario Kart, ARMS, Splatoon 2, and now Mario and Rabbids. Great for gamers who don't blitz through everything, gives us time to breathe. Only thing I'm disappointed in is the online stuff waiting till 2018. Basically, I'm ready to buy Super Mario 3 all over again.
Okay, yeah. So I think online is something that we're going to hear, I think, resoundingly through probably all 4 of our comments, as well as our Twitter comments as well. So thank you very much, Chris, for sending that in. And I do think that is a challenge for Nintendo to solve. We also put this out to Twitter, and here are some of the responses that we got. Chris White says, probably the best early access console of all time. I can't wait to see what the final product is like. Chris has been on our show before. He has expressed some of his dissatisfaction with the system. I did ask him to give us some more elaboration, and he said it's pedestrian UI, lack of useful account system, no virtual console, mostly broken online functionality as well. So there are some challenges, but I know he did say he thinks that some of those things could be resolved in the future when everything is kind of patched again, as I recall. So yeah, he says most of these things can be addressed in 2018 when the paid service comes online as well. So I think that's an interesting statement. Bear with me 1 second here. Okay, hold on. Of course, Twitter decides to be a bit of a pain. So 1 second here. And then we have Matt Gibson says the brilliant system, fantastic games, and portability is a real game changer. There's a lot on the way too, but it lacks personality in terms of normal UI. Having themes, badges like the 3DS, or even music in the eShop would be great. Right now, it's just a screen full of tiles. Aside from that, it's a must-have system. So UI again being a theme here, so that's interesting. Mr. Josh Thomas says.
Can I just respond to that for one real quick thing though?
Sure.
Just about the UI. Like, yes, it's plain, it's boring, but one thing that we like, it's very functional, I would say, and I actually, the more I use it, the more I actually am appreciating it, because I recently, I brushed the dust off of this 3DS here, just to, I just wanted to see what was going on, and kind of getting reacquainted as I wait for our review copy of Metroid.
Hello, my old friend. Where have you been?
Actually, I also got the Metroid 3DS theme from my Nintendo, so I put that on here to prepare as well. But the interface, I have so many games on this 3DS that it becomes overwhelming, and I really like the fact that the Switch UI shows you the 10 most recent games or whatever that you played, and then you very quickly can go and choose from your entire library. Yes, it would be nice to be able to sort through it, and I agree with that, or to do folders, but to just have those most recent 10 games that you've played takes a little bit of that choice paralysis away, which makes it and not only that, but let's not forget the fact that the Switch UI is insanely fast. right? As far as actually jumping in and out of games, it's very, very fast. So I think that's something that's also, like, I agree that it would be cool to have themes and stuff like that. But if you're getting bored with the UI, if you're using the black UI, switch it to white for a while. And if you're using the white one, switch to black for a while, and you'll have a little variety in your life. I don't know. That is
says like a Nintendo apologist. Well done.
I was about to say that's not the most apologist answer that I could give, but I actually am. The UI is starting to grow on me more and more.
Yeah.
So
moving on to our next statement. Our own Josh Thomas says, "I'm bored. Outside of Zelda, there hasn't been a game that really felt like a must have. A few decent titles here and there, but a slow start." So that's interesting from Josh. But he does shout out to obviously Zelda. So that's interesting. This is such a contradiction to obviously Zach and Marty. Your near 60 games between the two of you that you've amassed.
Here's the thing: is that if multiplayer games aren't your thing, and I know that Josh, like, he does the fold on his, which by the way, give a shout out on Nintendo Beyond. He's rebranded his YouTube channel, which I think is super cool, and I'm excited to see what he's doing. But if that's not the kind of game for you, if games like Splatoon or ARMS, games like that, there's a lot of really good multiplayer games. But if that's not your thing, and you're waiting for the next Mario Odyssey or the next single player experience, other than Breath of the Wild, Mario and Rabbids, if you like strategy games, like, there hasn't been a lot of really meaty single player content other than Breath of the Wild. So
yeah, and that is interesting, right? Nintendo and developers are really leaning heavy into the 2-player, right, into the multiplayer ability that comes with the Switch. Excuse me. Nintendo Review says, "I'm definitely glad there are at least 1 to 2 bigger games each month so far instead of half a year between them, like the Wii U. Always a trade-off." Yeah, I mean, Nintendo, I mean, they've got big hits coming almost every single month, it feels like. It does make me worrisome about 2018, 2019, and the long scope of this thing, considering in this year, again, we are getting, before this thing has had a full 9 months, we will have had Zelda, Mario Kart 8, ARMS, Splatoon, Mario and Rabbids, Mario Odyssey, yeah, well, let's talk about games that are actually important, right? So right there, you've got like 7 big titles from Nintendo. 3 games that star Mario in 9 months, right? And you lead it with Zelda. So I am concerned about what the longevity looks like, and Jess, you mentioned a little bit of that as well. The Kingdom of Lego says, "I want that dock, the car dock." From the commercial where they're showing it, where it's like the screen is attached. Yeah, it's attached. I like that one. At Lover Burrito says the same thing as well. And then Jerry says, "It's lived up to my expectations. More games than I have to play or complete. A good problem to have. Silencing the naysayers." So those are some of the comments that came in here. Anything of those you guys still want to kind of like push into or talk a little bit more about?
Well, I think that we can get into the to kind of a few of the negatives, because one thing that came up is the UI and just the overall presentation of the Switch, and that's why earlier when I said it's my favorite system I've ever owned, but I have to give it a 9 or a 9.5. That's really where I'm stuck. There are just some baffling system preferences and UI choices that Nintendo has made with the Switch that I just don't get. Like where we felt like 2 steps forward with the 3DS feels like 1 step back with the Switch.
Sure.
Even the Wii, but I applaud them for working on things and trying to make changes where people want changes. People said the Wii U's menu was annoying and it was cluttered. They fixed that. But on the other hand, they overfixed it. It's like when you need 2 boards to nail, or 2 nails to hold down a board, and you put 20 on there. Nintendo said, "You don't like any of that? All right, fine. Here's some tiles."
Yeah.
And then they minimize I mean, there's minimal everything. It's minimal choices, minimal themes, minimal tiles. And I'm like Chris White. I think all of that is coming. But within, if you go back to the 3DS, okay, like the very first, how long was it before we ever saw a theme on the 3DS? How long was it before we saw folders on the 3DS? So I know
3DS didn't even come with eShop.
Here's my question, Marty. Do you think that choice is by aesthetic, like design aesthetic and deliberate, or do you think it's a byproduct of quick to market?
I think it's quick to market. Quite honestly, I think the UI was like oh crap, we've got to get this done.
Zach, what about you?
I think it's both. I think it's like I think they did this knowing that it was a 1.0 solution. But having said that, I think that it's very functional in what they want. Can they go like they can always go back and add stuff to it later, right? But I really don't see a whole lot of benefits, because what they don't want to do is add a bunch of bells and whistles to it and have it be suddenly like super laggy and clunky, right? Like
Xbox.
And so I think, yeah, exactly, right. So the benefit of this is that they can come in and say, yeah, the Switch has the most responsive UI of any console, right? And so I don't like I understand the annoy or the wish that there was more to it, but I also think that there are definitely benefits to it that exist as well. I think, and the thing is, my question is, do they actually see it as a problem or not? The Switch UI. I think that they probably are looking at the Switch UI, and they hear the responses, and the kind of responses that I have heard from people like Reggie or whatever about the Switch UI are like, yeah, we'll get there eventually. I don't have anything to announce right now. Like, they're just like, I don't know. We literally just got this thing out the door. And when we say that, additional features are coming, what I think that the translation of that means is, yeah, we'll probably get a developer to work on that eventually, but it's not like it's even necessarily in the works right now. That's, you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's sort of my take on it.
Okay. Yeah. So UI, I think we're hearing that as a theme. What else would you want to do? So if you're like, I'm pushing out an update, I'm pushing out a patch, what are you doing there, Marty? What are you doing?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do, and because I own so many games, this is probably priority for me, is the folder option. I need the folder option to be available yesterday for the Switch so that I can organize my games, mainly because, I have a son who also plays, and, his games get shuffled to the front and my games get shuffled to the back. I mean, that's fine, like Zach said, to keep away some of the analysis paralysis about what do I play next. But there's some games that get buried and you're like, oh yeah, I did buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Or I did get that. And so folders would be a great way to fix that. I think also it would be good to be able to hide games that, like, maybe you borrow from a friend, or maybe your dad came over and you played some Street Fighter, now
you can do it, but
you can, but something that maybe is like, borrowed or, whatever. I don't know. That and themes, I think. And also I don't know how hard this would be, but being able to set, more than one internet source would be fantastic.
You mean for like to have it respond better to switching between internet?
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Like if I have it set up in my home network, and I have it set up for a friend's network at home or at his house, I can just bring it there and turn it on, and it works because it'll say, "Oh, this router doesn't exist, but this one does, so let me connect to it." Just like my phone does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would add,
and as I said earlier, DS and 3DS has done this since day one.
Yeah, I would add as well, as far as like sort of the UI stuff as well. I really wish, and I don't understand why they did it this way, but the fact that you have parental controls locked on a system level and not on a unit or not on an account level is really weird to me, right? Like so in other words, like it is super annoying to me that I can't pick up my Switch and it, so if for example, I have set my Switch right now on weekdays, the alarm goes off at 6:00 p.m. That says, okay, it's done, right? Like it's the bedtime alarm for school nights, right? So if my son picks it up, it beeps at him and it's like, put it down. It's past no screen time after 6 p.m. So, but if I pick it up and if I'm trying to play something from my account, it still gives me that warning. And I think that and there's no way and same thing goes for like parental controls for if I wanted to limit like rank or like by a rating, right? I don't want my son playing any rated M games. And so I don't, and so that's how it's set up. It's set up on the system level to do that.
So it's a device level, not profile level.
Exactly, right? And so what I would like it to do is that I turn this thing on, I select my account, I put in a PIN number or whatever I need to do, and then I can get into my account, and it doesn't annoy me with bedtime warnings. It doesn't annoy me with all of that stuff. It still tracks all of my usage, but it doesn't annoy me with all of that stuff because basically what happens right now is like as soon as, like he just can't use it at all. But there's no granularity in being able to control what he uses, what he accesses, because then I would know for sure, okay, well, I've set it so that he can use it for 1 hour per day, right? And that account is used for 1 hour per day.
The truth is, Zach, you can actually do that. It just happens to be that your wife is just programming it so it says no more screen time at 6 p.m. for you.
Oh, see, well, that's the problem. And then of course what I do is that as soon as the kids are in bed, I go into the Switch app, and the nice thing is that now at least you can go into the app and you can tap the little thing that says disable alarms for today, which really could just be labeled as kids are in bed mode, right? And you turn that on and it's like, don't bother me with the stupid alarms anymore. All of that sort of.
Okay. Jesse, or sorry, Zach, any other updates you're doing?
No, I think that's about it.
Jesse.
I can't think of anything else that hasn't already been said. I think the folders, and other just minor enhancements are kind of what I would be wanting to see.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to talk about a couple that came to mind. So first thing I'd want to be doing for them to put in is the video record functionality that we were promised a while ago. I'd like that. I want to start being able to capture some footage and be able to easily post that out. So that's step number one.
Yeah.
Number two, let's talk about this. Your online functionality sucks currently, and I don't really know if it's going to get better. I'm really quite concerned, to be honest, about what that better looks like, because right now I'm struggling with it. Okay, this app that's on there, other than me going into Splatoon and getting a T-shirt every once in a while, that's all I'm doing. I am not using this online functional pairing thing that was put together. We did that for the weekend when I played with Marty and Zach that once. After that, it's done. It's too much work, too much hassle, and it's not
too much hassle.
Too much hassle. It's not connecting the way it should be. So that needs to be resolved. And I think for a device to be as critically used and as used as it is for online function, let's take a step back. Can I play online? Can I jump onto Splatoon and play Salmon Run or Splatfest? Absolutely, I can. That's not an issue. What I'm talking about specifically is being able to connect with your friends and to be able to play online games together in a community collaborative way, right? I don't want to have to use Discord or Skype to be able to do that. I want to make that an easy option, and I don't want 50 dongles across my lap to be able to do that. That is something that they need to resolve right away. And I want to be able to very easily, if the game is on my device, connect with somebody. Right? So if it says Marty is online playing ARMS, do you want to play with Marty? Yes, I do. And I want to be able to jump easily to working and playing with Marty. So that needs to be solved. I know it's pushed off to 2018. I'm just concerned about the current health of the online functionality and to what it's going to actually end up looking like. So there's that. The virtual console thing for me, I don't really feel like it's as big of a deal as and someone tell me where I'm wrong on this. But I don't I'm not I'm not dying to say I need my next copy of Mario 3 on my Switch. Am I wrong on this? Like, why? What's the big hoopla?
I think the virtual console. I'll tell you, they seem to have made it very clear how we're going to be playing retro games on the Switch. Thus far, it is not on the Switch. It is on the Super Nintendo Classic Edition. And it is through their online retro at whatever classics collection thing that they're doing, right? That's basically what they're doing. And I don't know where that leaves GameCube games and Nintendo 64 games and stuff like that. But I honestly, this is probably a bleak statement, but I've kind of given up on the idea that Virtual Console is coming to the Switch in the way that it came to the 3DS and the Wii.
Yeah.
I can kind of agree with you there, as much as I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, Zach. Now the only way that I could possibly see it coming to the Switch is on this online functionality, but it is a Netflix version of it. In that we pay our $3 a month and we have access to the catalog at any point. But you don't own it; you own the rental property of it, essentially, right? It's much like Netflix. You don't own the video you're watching, the movie you're watching. You should have access to it. Because I think
that's all I really want. I don't know. I know some people are really concerned about having ownership over the game that they have. I'm not that concerned about that, but I know there are definitely people out there who are.
I would be okay if it worked something similar to Spotify or PlayStation Plus, in that as long as you maintain a subscription and the games are downloaded to your Switch, you can play them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there would have to be some kind of downloadable function, right? So that it means not just cloud-based or running off.
And the cool part about that would be is, if you didn't, since the space on the Switch is limited, to what's on the SD card or the internal storage, if you are done playing with that game, you can just delete it and then re-download it later.
Yeah, I've kind of given up hope on the Virtual Console, to your point, Zach, and I don't really know. I mean, obviously we're getting the online functionality. It's going to be kind of a different version of what the game was. The game was before, right? So I think that's super interesting. But I have given up a little bit of faith in the Virtual Console coming.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Any other kind of improvements that you guys would make to it right away if you were given the keys to the kingdom?
Mm-hmm.
I think too that it's pretty obvious that there needs to be a Joy-Con with a dedicated D-pad.
Really, you think so?
There's enough people asking for it, and there's enough people who are upset that it's an issue, and in some ways it is. I mean that. I've never really noticed it, I don't guess, because I don't play a lot of, like, if I'm playing Street Fighter, where I would prefer to play with a D-pad because it's just the feel of it and, what I'm used to. I've gotten just used to using the stick. But
honestly, I use this D-pad.
Well,
this D-pad
and I've used some of it, and it I can see where kind of the gripe is. So I think that what you do is you just release a left Joy-Con. You don't release a right Joy-Con, but a left Joy-Con in the current colors with updated connectivity, since that was the one that was having all the problems to begin with. Bump up the wire or whatever it is in there and put a D-pad on it, and they'll make a lot of people happy. And it's an easy that's an easy fix when it comes into it.
I would love for them to, and maybe we'll see this down the line, but I would love for them to basically do what what Microsoft did with the Elite controller, and you have like Elite Joy-Con set where they're really solid quality, and
build your own Joy-Con.
Or have them be like made out of metal or something. Not metal, but you know what I mean. Actually, frankly, I wouldn't be opposed to metal. But just having them be really hardcore, heavy duty. The thing that I am noticing with the Joy-Cons, by the way, and
that would make handheld mode a lot heavier.
Yeah, that's true. But just having them, maybe have different options or something. One thing I didn't mention earlier about the Joy-Con is that I am really growing to appreciate, and we have our youngest just turned 1, and he loves to get into everything. And he slimed this Joy-Con, and the L button sticks now, and my other left Joy-Con has like teeth marks on the little thumb nub thing. We talked about that before, but like to the point where like the rubber is actually coming off of the joystick. And I'm like, oh, I am so glad that the Joy-Cons are replaceable, because I can basically just deal with going out and getting another left Joy-Con, and I don't have to do what I would have had to do in the Wii U days, which is like replace the gamepad or repair the gamepad, right? Like it was, because that's what happened. The left control stick, on my gamepad. I don't know. My kids like to, I don't know, have like juice fights while playing video games. I don't know. And that must be what they're doing, because they're totally slimed.
Sounds sticky.
Yeah. So like the left Joy-Con was just, or the left control stick on the gamepad was just like not good at all. And I couldn't, like, I wasn't going to like send the gamepad away or anything. Right. So, anyway, that also just to say that the modular nature of the Switch makes repair and replacement a lot easier. So anyway.
Cool.
I'm glad to know that I'm not the only parent who has problems with their kids getting funk and junk all over their Joy-Con.
I don't understand the need when you're playing a video game and you have to sneeze. I don't understand the need to pull it closer to your face, right? Like that just doesn't make sense to me.
There's a reason I don't touch my kids' 3DS or iPad, and that's it right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like
we had to invest in some of those electronic cleaning wipes. Like we went to Sam's and got the 250 pack of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like a daily thing. It's like, why are there boogers all over your 3DS? Oh, sneezing, Dad. How many times have I told you to shut your mouth and put your hand over your nose? I don't know.
He probably he did it, and then he just wiped it on the screen.
Yeah, just wiping it all over his face.
So I was thinking a little bit about that with the D-pad thing, and I think, though I would like to see, Joy-Con, set up with other legacy controller styles, especially a GameCube one, if they plan on doing GameCube Virtual Console, fingers crossed. But if not that, at least having one with a D-pad for NES and SNES emulation would make things a little bit easier, I think.
Can we also admit that the Joy-Con color variants is probably one of the smartest things that Nintendo has ever done from an accessory perspective? And you're probably like, but why? That's crazy. Because every single time they put out a game, they can put out the addition Joy-Con to associate with it, right? So here's ARMS, here's Splatoon. I'm betting Mario Odyssey is going to have one. All right. So instead of having to create a brand new 3DS to celebrate a game, I'm looking at you, Metroid Samus, right? Instead, we just put out a colored Joy-Con.
Upside down Samus.
Yeah, just put out a different colored Joy-Con, and look, now you've got the Metroid version of the Nintendo Switch, or you've got the ARMS version of a Nintendo Switch. That is such a low-hanging, easy thing for them to do that it is almost ridiculous.
It's kind of like the faceplates of the Switch.
It really is, and I mean, and I know it sounds crazy, but I really don't see them putting out like a limited edition, special edition. Now I know they just did in Japan for Monster Hunter, so I may be an idiot, but I really truly think that they're making it a special edition or making it celebrating a game is about you going out and buying more Joy-Cons every single time. So that's my thought. Guys, 6 months into it, we know what the next 3 months looks like for the Nintendo Switch. How do you feel about 2018, where Nintendo is, the Nintendo Switch? I'm going to just straight out I'm going to just call it. I'm concerned about what the rest of their library looks like for 2018 and beyond. We know some things, right? We know Pokemon, we know Metroid, Kirby, Yoshi, but like what's going on, right? Like they have done a lot in the first year to really move the system. And I do want to take a bit of a pause in this. To launch the console with what is kind of being deemed the greatest game ever made was brilliant. As much as we hated for it to be delayed as Wii U owners, I think that was one of the smartest decisions that they probably made to be able to move this console, right? When you have an attachment rate of over 100% for a game on a console, that is absolutely incredible. And I think, what goes back to the statement the CEO of Pokemon had is that great software helps platform. And I think amazing software like Breath of the Wild was such a game changer for the Switch. And it demonstrated, I can be at home, now I can be on the go. Like Breath of the Wild was the proof of concept game that the Nintendo Switch needed. It wasn't 1-2 switch, but now they need something to help be a 1-2 switch or a Wii Sports to be able to bring people in. There was a lot I just said there, but what do you guys think of any of that?
So you're talking.
I mean, I'll agree with you on that about the software. We know what's coming for the rest of the year, but after that, there's a lot of shifting dates and news and all kinds of other stuff. There's not a lot of anything concrete after January of 2018. And so if they're going to continue the momentum, then they need to start firming up some plans here pretty soon. At least letting us say, within the first 6 months of next year, you're going to get this, and this.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting a new Direct to come out maybe mid-October. That'll talk more about their first quarter lineup.
Yeah,
and maybe a few stragglers leading into E3.
So I'm looking on their website right now. So like as far as first party titles go, on the Switch, like basically what we have is Pokken Tournament September 22nd, right? Then we've got Fire Emblem Warriors on October 20th, and then a week later, which is really stupid that they're this close together, but whatever. Super Mario Odyssey comes out a week after Fire Emblem Warriors. By the way, that game comes out this month in Japan, which I think probably would have been better timing. I think Fire Emblem Warriors would have done better if they would have released it in September. But anyway, after that,
you've got Xenoblade.
Xenoblade in the
holiday.
I'm still not convinced that that's going to make that date, but we can hope.
I hear a lot of chatter of that game being questionable.
I've heard some positive stuff about it too. I think I'm going to get it. Like that is going to be my Christmas vacation game. Sit down and just enjoy the crap out of that game. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And then other than that, like as far as first party titles go, we have Kirby and Yoshi both slated for next year. I think one of those will see Q1. And other than that, like what do we got? I guess other ones that we know are coming. Fire Emblem is coming in 2018. for the Switch. We know that they said that already. And what, Pokemon maybe? Metroid, I don't think they've even committed at all to. No. Yeah, and so we've got some. They front loaded the Switch library so much that the concern now is what else is coming, right? Like
and somewhere in there, we're going to get Smash. It's coming 2018. I would think so. Like, because they came out of the box with Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. They had some other games in the pipe, Mario Odyssey and Zelda and everything else. Smash doesn't really have a place to fit this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so if they're going to do a Smash port, or if they're going to do a new Smash game, I think that's probably a good place to look at it. I would say that it's probably more beneficial for them to do Smash at the early part of the system's life cycle so that it can stick around in online for longer.
I think I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we don't hear about it. We maybe get a reveal at the like January Direct that they always do, right? We get like a reveal there. This is just all hypothetical, but you get a reveal of Smash in January, and then you see a holiday release for Smash. And it's going to be I think that it will be a very significantly updated version of the Wii U game with all the Wii U levels, all the 3DS levels, add in a handful of new characters, all the DLC characters. But it'll be like a deluxe plus. I don't know what you'd call it. Right. You know what I mean? But like even more of an upgrade than Mario Kart 8 was. I don't know, but we'll see. But honestly, I think Smash Brothers is the perfect game for the Switch, though, because I mean, the whole like break off a Joy-Con thing, share the joy, like it's perfect. I don't know if you've ever played Smash Brothers with a Wii remote, but I mean, it's basically the same thing doing it with the Joy-Con, right? So,
mm-hmm.
I don't know if you were looking at it, but I just looked at our future game release schedule. And we already have over 20 games, albeit most of them are indies, listed to be somewhere in the 2018 window. But there are some big hitters in here, like 3DS remake of Radiant Historia. There's a Shin Megami Tensei game. Actually, those are both 3DSs, actually. Bad examples. But, No More Heroes was just announced.
And I guess you do have other games that we have big question marks over, right? So Pikmin 4, Animal Crossing, Donkey Kong Country, right? Some of those kind of mainstay characters. Who knows? Maybe another Earthbound.
Whatever Retro's working on. We're not sure that it's Metroid.
Yeah. There are some things we don't know, but I would definitely say Nintendo has really heavy ended. Or like lead heavy with the system. Let's just put this in context. In the same 9 months, you get Splatoon, Mario, Odyssey, and Zelda, right? In the same 9 months, the game, like those are three heavy hitting games that have a high attachment rate, and you front loaded your year with that. I mean, that's fine. But it does just make me question, like, what else is in the pipe that we need to be aware of. I have faith Nintendo will have stuff, and I'm happy playing Odyssey within the first several months of the system, and the DLC strategy for Breath of the Wild continues to bring you back. But it just there are questions that are still out there that I'd like to have some degree of answers to, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, is there anything else that we want to do before we just get into what we've been playing? I think, we're an hour and a half in here, but I do want to spend just a few minutes talking about this particular little game here. So I'm going to jump right in.
Do it.
All right. So, of course, we have been playing. I feel like the only thing, unless anybody has any objections to this, we're just going to talk exclusively about Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, just for the sake of time, I think. Does anybody have any problems with that?
I would like for us to exclusively talk about Tetris.
Okay. Well, there's the door. Okay.
The only other thing I've been playing, I downloaded Lego Worlds this week, but I have not had any time to talk about it. And I mainly got it for my son.
So we'll push that one to next week. So let's do exclusive Rabbids for now.
Yeah. Next week I'll come back and tell you all about Lego Worlds.
Yeah. And that's Mario and Rabbids is the only game I've been playing.
All right. Very cool. So I actually, after last week's episode, I actually downloaded the game. And I am, what am I, like
2.6?
2.6, something like that, yeah. And holy crap, this game is, like, you guys weren't joking when you said it. Like, it is such a good, I think one of the things that can happen sometimes with Fire Emblem and those sorts of games, like the strategy games, is that they kind of get bogged down in their own self-seriousness. You know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh, okay, and we're talking about this, and whereas this game, it does all of the character development, which is kind of a weird thing to say about a Rabbids game, but it's all done through these little cutscenes and through animations, and you learn everything you need to know about each one of these characters entirely through these very short sort of cutscenes, and even just the animations, like the you win sort of animation at the end of every level. You get so much of a sense, especially of these Rabbids, that they've basically cut out of, they're entirely new characters, but they all have such a personality to them that is just so interesting. So I've been playing it quite a bit, and I really, really like it. I don't know why I was so apprehensive. I think it was because I didn't really have a whole lot of experience with Rabbids before. But I really, the more I play it, the more I am falling in love with it. And I think it is the fact that it does a really good fusion of the Mario. It's like a very zany, crazy version of the Mario Kingdom, right? Like, it's still very much a Mario game and based in that world, but it's just like that. It's like the Mushroom Kingdom on LSD or something.
Yeah, it is. And like, I love
which is kind of ironic.
We're getting to see Mario done respectfully, respectfully to the source material. And I would even say the utmost respect. Like, it's very, very obvious that David, was his last name Soliani?
I think so.
Yeah, or David. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's whatever. But that he is like you get that he is a fan of Mario, and like, this is like what happens when somebody who's a fan gets a hold of something and kind of gets the permission to put their own spin on it. So you're seeing Mario through another person's eyes.
Kind of sounds like Sonic.
Yeah, it does. And I was thinking about that as I was saying that, about how much it sounds like Sonic and how good Sonic Mania was. And I think that this shows me, at least, one of the things that I've learned kind of playing this game is that, God forbid something were to happen to Miyamoto or something like that in the next few years, Mario can be in good hands.
Yeah.
It's like, and especially with the Odyssey team, with the things that they've got coming up, Mario can be in good hands, not in Nintendo's hands, and he can be done well. I'm not saying I want to play a core Mario platformer from anybody but Nintendo, but I guess the point is like the game, like, and I'm in the first part of World 3. The quality of that oozes out of this game is so evident. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I think the biggest testimony to Mario plus Rabbids is how many of us thought 10 months ago that we'd be sitting here talking about a Rabbids game on this podcast.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I never would.
And saying all of us are playing it and all of us love it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's insane.
I think that's a huge testimony to this game, and it's a huge testimony when you've got people like Trevor, who wrote in earlier and said, I don't normally play these type of games. I don't even care for this, but this has drawn me in, and now I love it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that I absolutely love about it, and I just pulled it up, is the music in this game. And I know that we've talked about the music is done by Grant Kirkhope, who I know we mentioned this last week, but he's the guy who did a lot of Rare music, right? And so this is the music. I'm just going to play a little bit of it. This is the music from the Rabbid Kong battle, right? The boss of World 1. And it is the coolest fusion of Donkey Kong Country, like that Donkey Kong Country theme, like music from that, and just like its own sort of style too. Like it's ominous, but like it's just so good. Like I just don't even like. There's so much of the music in this game, and you get those little hints of those little themes and those little sweet. Anyways, yeah, that's sort of a idea. You just pick that sort of music up all the time. It's peppered throughout the whole game, so it's very clearly Mario, but also very clearly something all its own. And I think that's a perfect way to describe this game.
Yeah, the music around the castle, is the old Super Mario 64 music for when you're in the castle, but there's a remix to it. It's woven in with other stuff. And like Rabbid Mario for some reason carries a ukulele.
Yeah.
And like when you first see him, he's picking out the original Super Mario Brothers theme on the ukulele. It's just like, again, it's little things like that come across that go, you know what, the people who made this, they're not just trying to push Rabbids on you. They love Mario. And they in their twisted mind thought these two things would go together, and guess what? They were right.
Well, and what I like too is that so much of it is it's Mario, it's Rabbid, the Rabbids do Mario, not Mario does Rabbids. You know what I mean? Like it's everything is in the service of the Mario franchise, not the Rabbids franchise, and I think that's where it really succeeds, because it, like, I guess the Rabbids know their place, right? You don't, and they don't try and take center stage. The Mario world always has center stage, and yes, you may have Mario characters, you may have Rabbid characters that are in this world, but they always have a flavor of Mario to them, which I think is great. So, Justin, you've been playing this too. You've been playing it for about the same amount of time as I have, right? How are you liking it so far?
Yeah, so yeah, I got it last week as well, but at the same time as you, Zach. So you all know, and I think it's well documented, how much I don't like Fire Emblem, right? My commentary, I believe, when I played Fire Emblem, what was the last one that I didn't like?
Fates.
Fates, yeah. Right. But I said, too much talking, shut up, do stuff, it gets complicated. I don't like those. I don't like those kind of games. It's just not my cup of tea, right? So I think when I saw this, I got a little bit concerned about this is going to essentially be a Fire Emblem game. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to be very angry. This does everything that I don't like about Fire Emblem. This does perfectly well, and I love playing this game. Mm-hmm. To your point, Zach, it is the characters are in short cut scenes. It's not taking itself too seriously. Like, really, Mario's holding a gun that looks like Bullet Bill, right? You're shooting out honey out of a cannon. Okay, like, there's nothing here that's overly too complicated. There are some skill trees that make sense that I understand. It feels accessible, I guess is the word I would say. It feels like I'm not jumping into a canon of content that I cannot understand and feel lost in. I'm familiar with the characters in that I'm familiar with Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, the world that they have built around the Mushroom Kingdom. That all feels familiar, comfortable. I know these people in these characters. And then to your point, to introduce these kind of wacky Rabbids, these minions, these goofballs, again, are not the center, but they accentuate. the environment, and you have such fun. And I think the blending and the melding of those worlds together is comical. It's easy. It's enjoyable. To your point, the music is just tremendous. It is a challenging game for sure, right? The first couple levels, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to zip through these pretty fast. And now I'm on level 2-6, and yeah, I'm not getting perfect. I'm dying quite frequently. I'm having to retry it. I may or may not have clicked easy mode a couple times for a couple levels because I was getting super frustrated. But then to go back, and then there's these challenge modes. There's these other areas to explore. This is a tremendous game. Like, I am really impressed with it. Now, what I will say is that it is outside of the level of a younger kid to be able to play it. My 7-year-old does not fully understand what's going on. She gets a little frustrated. My 9-year-old still doesn't necessarily understand or get it in the way that she wants to traditionally get it. So I need to coach and sit with her. And I do think there's a bit of a weird marketing skew there, right? When I showed them the E3 video, they were super excited, right? Because of the cartoonies, the minions. I mean, let's be honest, the Rabbids and the minions are pretty much identical. Just one's a rabbit and one's a yellow thing, right? So they were super excited about that. But then I think when you look at the level of difficulty of the game, especially as we get further on, again, we're in about level 2.5, 2.6, and it is really, really quite challenging. I do think that it's a little bit further out of the kids' reach of kids, but I would encourage you to play that with your children. Sit down and play it with them together. But yeah, character design, the humor. It's absolutely fantastic, and I'm so happy and so impressed with it. So well done. And you can just tell. I mean, it's such a love letter from the developers, right? From Ubisoft, the care. And I have watched a ton of stuff over the last week of interviews with Davide, and even Grant Kirkhope. IGN did one recently. Check it out. I think it's called Expert Mode, and Brian did the interview. And just really amazing stuff. And you can tell, I mean, you follow them on Twitter. I mean, they respond to you. They're passionate about their game. They love their game. They're so happy for it. And I think the thing that I really am excited about is not only how important this is for people playing the game right now and the enjoyment of it, but what does this kind of indicate for Nintendo as an organization, right? This kind of new Nintendo, I guess you would say, right? Where we're seeing games like ARMS, Splatoon, new IPs coming out to say, by the way, our most important figure in our entire IP stable, Mario, yeah, go ahead, use him. Go ahead, use him in this game that you've never seen him used in before in a different way. And we're not the developers of it. We're just the publishers, right? You do your thing. You do you, actually, and we'll support you.
Ubisoft is a publisher too.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
But Nintendo just licensed the characters.
Yeah, so there you go, right? So Ubisoft top to bottom does the whole thing, right? And I mean, I think that's really important for us not to miss the point there. And this is a tremendous game. I mean, trying to think of the other games where Nintendo's actually let their license be used. I guess Nintendo RPG, Super RPG.
I would say the most recent, like the stuff that they've done with Tecmo Koei with Hyrule Warriors and Fire Emblem Warriors, that's another good example of that, where although I think Nintendo published that game, but I don't know if they necessarily had a whole lot of
but you're not using Mario there. You're not using the king of the castle, so to say, right? Like
Zelda, though, they use the Zelda franchise, which is like the number 2 slot for sure, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm really, really loving it. It is a game that I come home and I'm like, that's the game I want to play right now.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I liked about the game is the way the worlds are built. Games like Fire Emblem, you have like a world map, and then when you go into a battle, it's kind of like a separate mini map. That if you look at the big map, it doesn't look anything alike. Here, the stages are literally pieces of the environment. When you go through looking for the challenges, you'll walk through and say, "Oh, I remember this. This was World 1-1. I remember this. This was World 1-2." And and while you're in a fight, you'll see like other other pieces of the environment that you can't reach yet, and you'll actually see the coins out there, or you'll see the treasure chest you haven't picked up yet. And so all that's all integrated in both the overworld and the game world in the same map, and which when looking for World 3 challenges is kind of frustrating, just because that map's kind of convoluted the way they built it.
No, I will say there are some challenges I have with the camera at times is a bit dodgy, a bit challenging, right? I think that lock is a bit buggery sometimes, but and I do wish there was kind of like a reverse move, right? Where you're like, oh shoot, I wish I didn't do that. It was just a way I could kind of rewind the clock a couple times, but
I thought I had range. I thought this move was going to put me in range to shoot, and it didn't.
Yeah.
What happened to me yesterday was I have my Rabbid Yoshi set up to actually do 4 dashes.
Oh wow!
And while I was I wanted to set up a chain, but missed the first one. So instead of dashing into a basher, stopped right in front of him, and he got clobbered.
Oh, yeah. There's a few things with the game too where it's not 100% clear. Like in Fire Emblem, you can just hit a button and it will overlay what the movement range and the attack range of a unit is. They don't show you attack range in this game at all, right? So you just have to assume.
Well, if you use the D-pad in quotes, choose your weapons option, the range you'll be given is the weapons range.
Right, but my point being, you like in Fire Emblem, they will there's an option. There's always been an option to basically look at sort of the combination of movement and attack range.
That you can't do it at the same time.
And so that you can walk all of your units right up to that line of you can be guaranteed that they're going to be safe if you put them right outside this area, but they don't have that in this game, right? There's a lot more thinking that kind of goes into that. You kind of have to figure it out, and you never really, for the enemies, you never know what their actual range is necessarily.
Well, you
well, I guess you could probably figure it out.
Yeah, you can go into an exam mode and then hover over every NPC, and you get the full stats on it. It's movement range, right. It's weapons range.
It's not shown visually.
But yeah, it doesn't show it outside of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm loving it. I'm looking forward to now. My understanding is there are maybe this is spoiler territory. Do we know how many worlds there are?
I think there are 4.
4.
4? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's and then after that, then it's just I'll do all the challenges and stuff. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at the end of every world you get an ability which lets you get into the next world, but like the first one is pushing blocks.
Right.
But as you go through the first world for the first time, you'll see blocks that can be pushed that you can't do anything with yet. So you'll know, I'll have to go back through here and push these blocks when I can. And then, so I've noticed also so far World 1 and 2, there's something, I don't know if it's like the Mario and Luigi RPG. There's like this spin type of a thing that I can't do yet. Probably won't be able to do that until the end of World 4, which means I'm gonna have to go back and go through like all the worlds again to find out those spin points that I've missed. So I think most of them are outside of the world.
Yeah, there's definitely a level of depth. Like you will be playing for a while.
Yeah.
And then each world does have a secret world.
A secret level.
That you can't find, and you need to use the ability from finishing the level to find it. I found and beat 1S. Haven't found 2S. Found 3S, but got my rear end handed to me.
Nice. Right on. So that is. Any other thoughts on Mario and Rabbids Kingdom? Mario plus Rabbids? Is it? I'm just going to call it Mario and Rabbids because I'm just. I do what I want. Any other thoughts on that before we wrap up the show today, guys?
No, let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so far the World 3 best boss fight in any Mario game ever.
Nice. Right on. I'm looking forward to it. I saw I'm not going to spoil it, but I saw the name of the audio track on the soundtrack that I got. And I'm looking forward to it. So very cool. All right. Well, with that, gentlemen, I think that is a show.
We've got a couple things to talk about, and I'll just bring them up real fast. Retro Rewind. Marty, you're putting out the vote really soon. Is that correct?
Yes, we'll be gathering up all the candidates for next month's Retro Rewind, and actually that's going to go up here right after the show. Voting will last for an entire week, and then we'll announce the winner, and that we'll play it together. I do think that this is a good time to remind people that Retro Rewind is only for games that are available on the Wii U and 3DS Virtual Console, because, and I say that because I would love to play Eternal Darkness, but can't.
Yeah, and also
that rare $60 GBA cart, not going to happen.
And also as well, there were some suggestions of like 3DS games, so specifically if it is Virtual Console, or I guess technically the Wii would count as well, for as long as it's available for download on the Wii U or 3DS. So yeah, agreed. But that's going to go up tonight, and so if you are a patron, go over to patreon.com/NintendoDads, and every vote counts. So go do that.
And speaking of patrons, we will be doing our monthly mystery merch giveaway this week as well. And so if you are a $15 or over patron, your name is going to be entered in that giveaway. And we'll be contacting you later on this week as we figure out the winner.
Very cool. Very cool. A couple of things I want to draw our attention to. Next week, we will be welcoming members of the Two Button Crew onto the podcast to be talking to us. And they actually went to PAX West this last week. So they're going to be having some information about what they played at PAX West. So that's quite exciting. September 20th, we're really excited to be inviting Ben Petroli onto the show. And he is the author of an upcoming book called 101 Games to Play Before You Grow Up. And this is a great great book aimed at kids and parents to read together, identifying the 101 best games to play. And we've had an opportunity to have a review copy of the book and have a look at it. And we're really excited to talk to Ben about it. So that'll be coming up. September 22nd and 23rd, I will be over at EGX over in Birmingham, UK. If you are a fan of this show and you want to meet up or say hi or connect with me, please just reach out to us on social media, on DM us or something. But that is the Friday and Saturday. I will be at EGX in Birmingham. Excited to be there. I know we have some UK listeners in that area, so we'll be trying to connect as well. And then the final thing I want to draw our attention to is Extra Life. Extra Life is occurring in November, and we have created and built a team. And more specifically, our good friend Tim has done that for us as a Patreon supporter. And if you are interested in joining our team, Extra Life is all about playing games and raising money for children and helping and benefiting children's miracle networks across the country, across the world as well. So if you want to join our team, here's really simply what you have to do. Our goal is to raise $1,750 for our team. If you're interested in joining us, go over to Extra Life, sign up, register, and you can search for our team. And it's just Nintendo Dads _EL 2017. Join our team. Help us meet our goal. We currently have two members on our team as well. So big thanks to Tim and to Michael for being on our team. We already have some money raised. We would love for you to join our team, Nintendo Dads, and help us raise funds for an amazing cause. We are going to continually be promoting Extra Life as we get closer up to the actual delivery of this, the day that we're going to be streaming. We're going to be playing games for 24 hours, supporting amazing cause. We did this last year, Nintendo Dads. We're a great community, and we're hoping to get more and more people involved in this wonderful community. So if you want to play games for 24 hours and raise funds to help children, please consider Extra Life and joining our team. Zach, back to you.
Right on. Well, gentlemen, with that, I just want to thank everybody, thank all the listeners for hanging with us tonight. And, of course, if you want to follow us on all of the social medias, you can do so on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram at Nintendo Dads. If you want to email us, you can do so at nintendodads@gmail.com. If you want to watch our videos, you can go over to Twitch or YouTube and search for Nintendo Dads, and you will find us. If you want to call in and leave us a voicemail, you can do so at 929-25-NDADS. That's 929-256-3237. If you want Nintendo Dads merch, go to tiny.cc/Nintendo Dads store. And of course, huge thanks to OC Remix for our music throughout the show, as well as to both Carter Johnson and Adam Leonard for their amazing artwork as usual. And of course, if you want to change the world, which I know you do, go over to Apple Podcasts, is what they call themselves. Go over there, leave us a 5-star review. Written reviews are even better. If you don't use that service, go to your podcatcher of choice and do the same thing. That is how the Nintendo Dads Gospel is spread, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, if you want to subscribe to the show, you can do so on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and of course, VGTribune.com. For me, for Justin, for Jesse, and for Marty, we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Nintendo Dads.
Wobble Puffet, Wobble Buffet.